Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's episode, I'm going to be explaining to you why Bitcoin is repeating the exact same pattern right now that it followed to break through $112,000 earlier this month. And I think that Bitcoin following this same pattern might be why Bitcoin is about to rally up to $135,000. I've gone long. Myself and our trading group have gone long, and I'm very excited to share with you the reasons why. We're going to be talking about the small breakout that Bitcoin's experiencing right now, the backtest of important downtrending resistance, and the further confirmations that I need to go fully into this long trade that we're going to be breaking down for you in today's episode. So, let's do it. Bitcoin over the last 4 weeks has been correcting ever since we broke up to, not 4 weeks, sorry, 2 weeks, ever since we broke up to the all-time high at $123,000. And we've been building some absolutely gorgeous market structure ever since then. Bitcoin has built some beautiful market structure. Let's clear our chart and we'll get started. First thing that we need to do to compare these two markets, this market back here where we were sub $112,000 and this market right now where we were sub $123,000 is to clearly denote the all-time high. Our previous all-time high was $112,000, which is similar to our current all-time high at $123,000. Likewise, this last market was being determined by a downtrend. That downtrend is right here. And when Bitcoin finally broke this downtrend, it ended up sending Bitcoin into an absolutely massive rally. Bitcoin, as we speak, is in the process of breaking this downtrend, which has been defining this corrective movement. But that's not all. There's another similarity, and that would be the downtrending level of support. As you can see in our previous cycle here, we had a downtrending level of support right here. And in our current trend, we also have a downtrending level of support right here. Now, there's a critical difference here, and that is that this downtrending level of support had a different angle than this downtrending level of support, creating this market as a bull flag rather than a falling wedge. Now, bull flags are very bullish. Bull flag, for example, in this case, gave us a price target of approximately $150,000. We didn't quite get there, but the point is that Bitcoin breaks bullish out of the pattern in the same direction that it breaks into the pattern, which in that case was bullish. So it was a bullish pattern that Bitcoin was in this falling trading channel, and that was one of the reasons that we knew, or at least predicted, that Bitcoin was going to break up to $123,000. Now, we are in a very similar pattern at this point in time, but instead of it being a bull flag, it's actually a falling wedge. And falling wedges, as we know, have a 70% likelihood of breaking north. They have a 70% likelihood of breaking bullish. This is something that we have taught in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy for the better part of a decade, and it has held true that entire time. Bitcoin right now finds itself not only in a bull flag, which is a descending flag on top of a bullish flagpole like we saw back here in May and June. No, actually, Bitcoin finds itself in a bull falling wedge, which you could call a bull pennant. Be a little bit of a misnomer, but it would be somewhat accurate. This falling wedge is actually very bullish. So we have a comparison here, except our current market is slightly different than our previous market, except it's slightly different in the fact that it's more bullish than our previous market was. All right, cool. Now, let's continue to compare because there's a lot of very interesting comparisons here that are going to help us to see why a breakout is likely to come very soon to Bitcoin. One of them is the fact that before Bitcoin went through this major rally here up to $123,000, we had one final capitulation. If you'll recall, the United States of America launched an attack using a sortie of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers to drop GBU-57 ground penetrators on the installation at the Iranian nuclear facility. When we did that, there was concern that Bitcoin was going to crash because the United States was going to enter into World War III and the world was going to end. And so Bitcoin had one final capitulation, sub $100,000, and we spent all of 6 hours below 100K. Negligible. But Bitcoin got its final shakeout, and all the weak hands got shaken out at that point in time. That's very similar to what happened recently here. Just over the last weekend, we saw Bitcoin drop all the way down to $115,000. Now, this is where my first concern about this comparison comes up. This drop did not drop us all the way back down to the previous level of support, which the previous all-time high, which was 112. This drop dropped us back down to 100K. This drop did not drop us back down to a comparable bottom at 112. And this is where this theory has a bit of a hole in it, and that is that maybe we're not done correcting here. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Maybe we need to drop back down to 112. Let's just kind of put that in our back pocket, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. Now, let's just assume that this is actually the bottom in the same way that this was actually the bottom. It would kind of make sense. It's the lower low. We have this uptrending level of support right here that Bitcoin broke. We had the fake out. This was the bear trap. Everyone who bought down there, including us, we're very happy we did. We bought a bunch of Bitcoin right there. Was very happy about that. Bitcoin similarly, again, a lot of comparisons here. Has an uptrend here that it was holding. Bear trap, fake out, bought the dip. We bought the dip. Hopefully you did too. And we dropped back down to 114 over the last weekend. It's almost exactly comparable. You can see all these trend lines are just showing up to be virtually identical. You have the bear trap in the same place. The only issue is that the bear trap wasn't as low as the previous bear trap. But then again, this bear trap was predicated upon the United States entering into the Third World War of human history. So, you know, there's not exactly completely comparable from the Black Swan event standpoint because there was no Black Swan event over the weekend. Now, let's continue the comparison. What did Bitcoin do after the bear trap? If this bear trap that we're looking at over the last weekend is similar to the bear trap in this market, remember, all the trend lines are the same. Local top, downtrend resistance, downtrend resistance, downtrend support, downtrend support, uptrend of support that gets broken, uptrend of support that gets broken, bear trap, what comes next? We've got 5 similarities. What happened next? That's kind of where the predictions come in. What happened after the bear trap here is that Bitcoin went on a rally right back up to all-time high, broke all-time high and set a new all-time high. But when it did that, something very interesting happened. We rallied up above the downtrending level of resistance, broke it, back tested it as a support. In doing so, we created an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and that inverse head and shoulders pattern is actually what gave us our price target, pointing up towards about $121,000, which is in the ballpark of where we went, which was 123. Is Bitcoin doing the same thing? Well, let's do some further analysis. Down here on the hourly chart, Bitcoin is doing the exact same thing. If what we just saw over the weekend was the same bear trap that we saw last month when Bitcoin dropped down to $98,000, then we should be looking for that same inverse head and shoulders pattern to be forming. And yet it is. Left shoulder, head, you break the downtrend, right shoulder's forming after the break of the downtrend. We don't have all the confirmation we need yet, but the inverse head and shoulders pattern is showing up right here in the same way that the inverse head and shoulders pattern showed up right here after the bear trap. The bear trap was the head of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. And again, what happened next is we rally back to all-time high, and then we end up breaking all-time high and going significantly higher. So the question now becomes, is that what we're about to see happen? Are we about to see Bitcoin follow the exact same market structure once again after repeating market structure over and over again and break up to all-time high? This is where we have to look at the trading nomenclature of confirmations. See, I entered into a trade yesterday expecting Bitcoin to go back to all-time high. I'm happy about that trade. Down a little bit. And I'm glad that I didn't put all of my position in. I put a little bit in because I was like, I want a financial incentive to be watching this really closely because I think we're about to have a great opportunity. Most of the margin that I'm going to put into that trade is not there yet. Probably 90% of the margin I'm going to put into that trade has not been put into that trade yet. I will be adding margin to that trade as we start to see some of these confirmations that I'm about to talk about. So what confirmations am I looking for before I long our way back up to all-time high and beyond? I'd like to hold this trade until $128,000 to $130,000. Take profit up there. You're looking at like a 10% return. We're on a 10x leverage right now. That's about 100% return. I could double my margin on that trade. So what confirmations am I looking for before I put more margin into that trade? Let's talk about that. Right now, Bitcoin has set 4 lower highs. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've set 4 lower highs. I want to see Bitcoin break one of those highs. Now, technically, when Bitcoin went through this rally over the weekend, we did actually break one of the highs, which was this high here at 119.5, because we actually did rally up to 119.8. But as you'll notice, Bitcoin was still stuck below $120,000. Bitcoin just doesn't seem to be that confident in trading above 120K yet, because every time we go up there, we don't stay up there for very long. So what I want to see Bitcoin do is I want to see Bitcoin to confirm that we're going back to all-time high, go up above 120,000 and stay there for like 12 hours. Either that or get a big volume candle, just a ton of volume come in. Like what we saw here when we broke above 112,000, or like what we saw here when we were actually on the corrective movement, or like what we saw here when we were on this corrective movement. I want to see a bunch of volume, but on the breakout, not on the correction. I want to see a bunch of volume, and I want to see a record set for how long we spend above 120K. Right now, that record stands at 22 hours, and that was back here when we went to the new all-time high. I'd love to see Bitcoin spend a day above 120K. If we spend a day above 120K, you can bet your bottom dollar we're going back to all-time high, and that would be an excellent entry. So the main confirmation I'm looking for, put just a little bit of margin in last night, somewhere in here. The main confirmation I'm looking for to actually really commit to this trade is spending 12 to 24 hours with high volume and high confidence in the price of Bitcoin above 120,000. If we do that, that'll confirm this inverse head and shoulders pattern. That'll send us back to all-time high, and I will be trading that breakout right alongside you guys in the first cohort trading group. I'm very excited about this pattern because I think that there is a chance that Bitcoin is about to reverse and head back to 123K. But there's still one loose end that we haven't tied up. And that is what I talked about earlier. And we need to talk about this because if we're going to talk about trade setups, we got to talk about everything. Good, bad, and ugly, right? That's how life is, isn't it? 1 part good, 2 part bad. Bad, ugly, right? The one concern I have about everything that I just said, because otherwise it looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks just absolutely perfect. The one concern I have, this is where the villain comes in at the last possible minute. Dun, dun, dun! The CME gap. It's not here. It's not full. First of all, the first CME gap down here between 114.4 and 116 has not been filled. Second of all, we set another frickin' CME futures gap yesterday over the weekend. And so now for Bitcoin to fill that CME futures gap, we got to drop back down to 118.4. So, you're going to have to see a correction here, not just on Bitcoin, because right now we're below 118.4, but you've got to see that on CME futures, right? And so are we going to fill the CME futures gap? It does make you wonder, right? Before we went through this major breakout here, we saw a back test of 100K. It held. I'm wondering, and this is where I've got to play devil's advocate, I'm wondering if Bitcoin's going to invalidate everything we just said in classic fashion, have a third major bottom, 1, 2, and then 3, and back test back down to 112. If it does, that's why we're not entering the majority of our trade until we have confirmation, because that is still a possibility. Because this all looks very similar to the way that we broke out, but it also kind of looks similar to what we saw over here. Uptrend, downtrend, bear trap, breakout of the downtrend. You see that? You can easily compare what we're doing right now to this whole market, or you can compare what we're doing right now to this market. Make that a little bit easier to see. Let's make our point a little bit better there. Or you could easily compare it to this market, because it looks a lot like this too. But if you remember, it's not how it played out. We weren't done correcting yet. So the question is yours. I'm going to give you my opinion, but the question is yours. Do you think that we're going to finish playing out this pattern once again right now? Or is Bitcoin actually only halfway done and we got to drop back down to 112 before we break out to all-time high? I'm leaning in the direction that we're done and we're going to start breaking out towards all-time high, but this is why we're not doing anything without confirmation. Do not enter into the majority of the trade, probably any of the trade, until we get that confirmation breakout above 120. And if we do, that's where things get exciting. If we do drop back down to 112, that is a blessing in disguise. It's a very thinly veiled disguise because it's pretty flipping obvious how much of a blessing that is. That would be a great place to load up your bags. What do you think about our analysis? Do you think we're about to break bullish? Do you think that the pattern is valid, but it's actually nested inside a bigger pattern that's going to take another few weeks to play out? I'd love to hear your opinion on that down below. As for me, I am going to wait to dump the vast majority of our capital into this trade. Might even close the little bit that I have, to be honest with you. I'm going to wait to dump the vast majority of our capital in this trade until we have all of that confirmation. We have a little bit of confirmation now, but I want all the confirmation before we actually really fully commit to this. And I'll be trading all of that with our group in the first cohort. If you guys want to trade that with us, then I highly encourage you to check the link in the description box down below and sign up for 2Bit. Why? Because if you deposit $100 into 2Bit, you can get into the first cohort for free for a year. There's a lot of other promotions I'm about to tell you about, but if you sign up for 2Bit, our exchange, then take a screenshot of your proof of deposit of $100 deposit and a screenshot of your user ID. Your user identification number. Send it to the email with the link in the description box down below to malachipass@cryptojeb.com. Send that proof of deposit. We will respond with a one-time, 1-year, 100% off coupon code for the first cohort trading group. And we have people joining all the time over here. There's so many people joining the first cohort trading group, bunch of people trading with us. You can see all of our trade setups, all of the analysis that we're doing together here. You can see all of this stuff, all of my investments here. You can see whenever I make an investment, whenever I make a trade. These videos are going to start going out early in the first cohort trading group. As soon as I'm done recording them, they're going to start going out in the first cohort trading group. So you're probably going to start getting them a couple of hours early if you join over there. So all you got to do, sign up for 2Bit. deposit $100, send proof of that to MalachiPats@CryptoJeb.com. One of my employees' emails with the link in the description box down below. He will respond with a one-time, 1-year coupon for 2Bit. And by the way, if you sign up for 2Bit, you're also going to be getting access to the best cryptocurrency trading platform in the game. You're going to get $50 just for signing up. You're going to get $30 because you deposited $100 as part of the reward. And when you do $1,000 of trading, which you should because it's a great trading platform, then you're going to double the $50 into $100. So you actually just turned a $100 deposit, which is still your money. You didn't lose it. It's still your money, into $230 with 2Bit. And then you also got a $419 value by getting into the first cohort for free for a year. So consider signing up right now to get access to the trading group. All of the benefits over there, anything I can think of that provides value, I'm just dumping it into the Discord server because you guys love it. I love interacting with you guys. Morning, night, weekday, weekend. Love talking to you guys over there. Really looking forward to seeing how that's going to grow. If you enjoyed today's stream, if you enjoyed today's video, consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.